Hello, everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Grief Angels podcast. I am your host, Rose Gishure. I am joined in studio today by two lovely ladies who are going to help us talk about a very important conversation on the importance of support groups. So if you followed our story, you've known that we've launched support groups this year. We have started out with two support groups, parental loss support group and sibling loss support group, running for 8 weeks. And we have just completed the first cohort. So I've spent the last 2 months with these girls and a bunch of other lovely people out there. So welcome to the show, Nzilani.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show, Cathy.
Thank you.
So yeah, I guess let's just dive right into it. We see support groups in movies, especially. Yeah, it's not a very Kenyan thing. And even if it is, it's mostly tied to churches. So I know some churches will also run their own grief support groups. But what was your experience like? Did you guys have any anxiety about it? You've both lost your dads. Yours is very recent. It's how many months now? 5 months, and I'm really sorry for your loss. And yours has been about 2 years?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What were your feelings about coming into the support group? Maybe let's start with you, Cathy.
I think coming in, I was anxious, and I think I was just tired of just doing it alone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I just wanted to speak to people who would understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, Nzilani, any second thoughts about wanting to come into it?
No, I had no second thoughts. I actually was intentionally looking for a space where I could speak about what I was going through, because I felt like the space I was in, I didn't feel like I was being understood.
Okay.
And also I wanted like a support system where I can feel what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and be understood.
Okay.
Be in that space where I can just feel like safe.
Okay.
To go through the emotions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I was also anxious.
You're anxious. Yeah. What are you anxious about?
I think meeting new people and what was in store.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the support group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you find?
Comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Comfort and understood.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just want to feel heard.
Yeah. Seen, heard, seen, known.
Yeah.
And just understood, especially the understood part.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And be vulnerable.
Yeah. That's a very safe space.
Yes.
Was it the same for you, Cathy?
Yeah, I think so. I think Nzilani has tied it up really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys didn't even know each other before.
Yeah, and I think now we're going. We're on a journey into friendship.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. I think for me also, I was even as a person who was doubling up as a facilitator of the sessions and a participant. As when I've said this so many times before, it was my first time in a support group. I even if I've lost multiple people, I'd never ever been through this. Therapy maybe, but not a support group. So coming into it, I'm coming in with the facilitator mind of what needs to happen. A lot of research has gone into it, whatever. But also then when I have to show up as a participant and now step into how it feels to lose a parent and having to deal with those emotions myself was also quite new for me. But I was glad that I was not doing it alone. Yeah, because you also feel validated in a sense, right? What surprised you the most throughout the whole support group? Anything that was like an aha moment for you throughout those 8 weeks?
First, that a support group exists. Because I think I only saw them like in movies and heard about them, but never like really knew that they actually exist here in Kenya. So that surprised me, one. And then two, it was not really a surprise, but just to find like people who actually understand what you're going through, and having that space to just go through the emotions with them gives you kind of like you've said, a validation of how you're feeling. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. And for you, Kathy?
I
Any
think
surprise moments?
more of a welcome realization is the person facilitating or the people facilitating have also experienced the loss you have. Other than just credentials, it you feel safer knowing that this person knows what this is like. Yeah.
Okay. It was 8 weeks showing up every single week. It's actually 9 weeks because so that intentionality of wanting to show up for you guys, it was every Thursday, at the same place at the same time. That commitment, that drive, where does that come from? Yeah.
I think it's just knowing that you have to commit to yourself and the promises you've made, because you go through this grief thing alone for a long time, and it's very lonely and alienating, and you sit with yourself a lot. And so when you finally accept to heal proactively and to commit to that, then it's very easy to attend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it the same for you, Nzilani?
Yeah, definitely, especially the part of showing up for yourself, because it's a realization that hits you that no one else will.
Yeah.
If you don't,
you have to put in the work.
you have to you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
So for me, it was because I wrote down like I really want to heal, or just not heal per se, because
there's no dates to
there's no
healing.
there's no date, a specific date to healing when it comes to this. It's just a wave of emotion, but just to understand and to just show up for myself. I just wanted to show up for myself.
Let's talk about on top of showing up every week, physically, being present, there's a lot of inner work that needed to be done. There's a lot of reflections, a lot of different exercises. Some were easy, some were hard, some we didn't even bother with. Because there's one thing to come, and it's okay, just come, and you don't have to talk when you come. If you don't want to talk, it's okay. If you want to talk, it's fine. But then there's a commitment that you had just mentioned about promising yourself to try and do better and participate. What are you guys' thoughts about the different exercises that we had to go through each week, and your feelings around that?
I think the exercises, they require a lot from you. And life is still happening, but there's this thing. But I think what was so motivating is watching other people in the support group also do the work and be vulnerable and share. And it made the exercises easy, even talking to other people in the group and being like, I'm stuck here.
Okay.
For me, it was hard. Especially some exercises, like one, you had said to write a letter to the beloved you've lost. I've never written that letter because I'm like, I have so many things to say. So many questions.
Which is interesting for me. Sorry to cut you short, but which is interesting because when we did the first letter, which was a dear grief letter, you were the first person to do it. Like out of all, I think 10 of us, you were and you wrote such a beautiful letter. I think we've shared it on our socials. But then when it came to the second letter, which was a dear dad, that one you were.
I was stuck. I was like, the emotions are so much. I tried, but I just couldn't.
Which is fine. Which is fine because you're not going to be kicked out of the support group for not doing it, because also we understand that some of this, we are at different stages of our grief journey. You just 5 months into it. She's 2 years into it. I'm 20 years into this grief of losing my dad. So if I was to write him a letter, my letter will be loaded with emotions, but it won't be as loaded as yours is, because there has been time, and time doesn't do any healing, but time just gives you the chance to change up and the chance to deal with the emotions that come with it. Yeah. And also, you see that, when we've said this before, the letter that you write today is going to be very different from the letter that you write 20 years from now, right?
Yeah.
So the point is, start where you are. If you're ready, fine. If you're not ready, that's also fine. Just continue to start where you are.
I think back to your question about the exercises. I think for me, it really made me to sit down with myself and now go through the emotions. Like, I cannot escape because I've committed myself to doing this.
Yeah.
I couldn't escape it. So I had to. So that made me also be more vulnerable and understand like the emotions I'm going through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a good way of showing up for your grief.
Yeah.
Now that the support group, your cohort, is over, 8 weeks into it, how different is week 1 and today in terms of your grief, and how you come at your grief? How different is that person that came into the support group the first day and the person that walked out of it?
I think the person from week 1, the Cathy of week 1, was socially anxious and just, I don't know, I stopped trusting gravity to hold me. And coming to therapy helped, with that, and finding myself again, and learning how to ask for help or to talk about how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Even with my friends, not just in support group.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's helped me do life better.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Do life better. That's really nice. What about you?
I actually resonate with Kathy in terms of like do life better, because now I can sit with myself when the grief comes, the grief bombs. I'm like, I don't want to escape it. Let me just go through it. Let me also identify maybe what feeling I am going through, like the ones you talked about, sadness, is it anger, where is it coming from?
Yeah.
So I've been able to show up for myself in that way. Like, I'm not evading it.
Yeah.
If it comes, I'm
Let's deal with
crying.
it. Yeah.
I am angry. I acknowledge.
Yeah.
So just going through it, and also to some specific people, also not allowing myself to tell them when they ask me how are you doing. I can just tell them, by the way, I'm not okay, or I'm just there.
I'm not hiding behind I'm okay. I'm fine.
But some very specific like individuals who are also intentionally also asking or checking up on me.
Okay. For me, I think what was fulfilling and also a surprise moment during the parental loss sessions was, again, because of the safe space we had created that allowed people to just openly speak about the feelings that they're going through. Do you remember that one time when we were doing the emotions exercise, and what are your top 3 emotions and how you they come at you, and then someone's top emotion was jealousy, and it was such a surprising moment for me, because I was feeling it, or I've been feeling it. I've been carrying that emotion all through, but I never admitted to anyone. 8 years into losing my mom, 20 plus years into losing I never admitted, but it's there. So the fact that he acknowledged that he's actually very jealous of people, not from a bad place. It's just that thing that crosses your mind, where you're like, oh, they have both parents, or there's their mom. I don't have my mom, or I don't have my parents. You can get a little bit jealous of people, and especially around holidays, people get a lot of that. So for me, it was like, wait a minute, I have been feeling that. So I'm like, you have helped me acknowledge that I've also carried a lot of envy for people who have both parents, or who have their parents still, and I'm here without mine. So that for me was both very fulfilling and a surprise moment. As we wrap up, we had always been saying that support groups are not supposed to be. It wasn't designed to be that there was gonna be. It's not school. There's no graduation. There's no here I am now healed. There's never, that wasn't the promise of the support group, right? It was companionship. It was finding people that feel what you're feeling, have gone through what you're going through, who sort of validate and remind you that you're not alone, right? So it was never now you're healed. Because are you healed?
Oh girl.
Yeah. But it was designed to, I guess, equip us with that thing you talked about, knowing how to deal with the emotions when they come, knowing how to deal with the grief bombs when they come, because we were dealing with them very differently, because we were not even showing up for our grief. Now that you've gone through this whole 8 weeks of showing up intentionally, even going forward, then you can continue to do the same thing even on your own, right? So last words for anybody who is contemplating, or somebody who has recently lost somebody, is thinking about, can I join a support group? What should I expect? What would you tell that person?
I mean, I think mostly it's scary the first day, and it gets better and easier to show up. And there's a lot of help, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of safety in sharing with people who know what you're going through, or who have an idea of the gravity of what that grief is like.
And for you, Nzilani?
Just show up for your grief, and find people. Like, do not seclude like yourself. It's okay to feel all the feelings you're feeling. And it's okay also to find people who can actually understand and make you feel like you are not alone in this. I think that's also was huge for me. Like, I'm not alone. So that's what
grief
I actually
can
find.
Be very lonely.
Can be
very,
very lonely.
You remember how when we first met and everybody's like, should we shake hands? Should we hug? That thing disappeared somewhere. Because it became standard. When you come, we hug and we know where I work and where you work. Like, people became actual friends. People who have gone through what you've gone through. So if you're out there and you're thinking about joining a support group, do check us out on our pages. We have a link on our IG page where we are talking about where there's a sign up form where you can actually then choose. And we have sibling loss going, we have parental loss going, we're about to launch child loss. So look out for that one. And eventually we hope to add more, even spousal loss. So thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this with me. And I'm so proud of you for showing up for your grief. First privately, but also even publicly. And good things await all of us, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye from the Grief Angels podcast. Show up for your grief.
That's such millennial.
Thank you.